Welcome to the Cultivating Business Growth podcast, bringing you bi-weekly discussions designed to help you grow your business and create the lifestyle you desire. Elevate your business with proven strategies from virtual CFOs, CPAs, and business advisors. We discuss real-world challenges solved with actionable steps that get you the results you need both in business and building the life you deserve.
Welcome to episode 158 of the Cultivating Business Growth podcast, brought to you by PJS & Co. CPAs. Today, we're thrilled to welcome Joe Saul-Sehy to Cultivating Business Growth. Joe is a seasoned financial expert with a background as a financial advisor and co-host of the award-winning Stacking Benjamins podcast, where he dives into personal finance topics with a fun and approachable style. Joe's experience and insight make him a trusted voice for those seeking financial wisdom, especially business owners looking to balance their personal and business financial health. In today's episode, Joe will share valuable strategies to help you leverage personal financial management to support your business growth. Welcome to the podcast, Joe.
Jamie, I'm here to announce my retirement. I finally made it on the show, so what could be better?
Woohoo!
I mean, where do you go from here?
Excellent. We'll just wrap it there. Thanks for stopping by. We're excited to have you. Looks like you have a lot of great experience to share with us.
Well, I'll tell you what was always frustrating. I haven't been a financial planner in a long time, but I was one for 16 years. And when invariably I would meet a business owner, one of my first questions was, and I know it's the same for you because listening to past episodes of the show, this is a big problem business owners have. And it is that, hey, I've accumulated some money. I've got this great operation, but now the company doesn't work for me. I work for the company. And now the company's driving all the decisions, and my spouse never sees me. My kids never see me. My friends never see me. I'm working 24/7 at this thing that's controlling my life. And so working along with trusted CPAs and being a part of the team that would help people flip that was a huge part of helping somebody get their life back under control.
That's amazing. Yes, we definitely see that a lot, that people just put their head down and are like, I got to work to make money, so all I'm going to do is work. And so we really like to focus on how you can work and make money, but maybe also have some time for a personal life and your family and friends and things you love to do, because that's important as well, especially
So
on a
important.
holistic,
Absolutely.
approach. So we're excited to talk to you. So let's talk a little bit about more about the interplay between business and personal. Can you talk to us about how personal financial health influences business decision-making and maybe risk tolerance?
Well, and it's funny, Jamie, because this wasn't just the case for clients when I was a financial planner, or listeners now with the podcast. It was my own situation. I was a guy that was very good in the early days of my financial planning career at giving advice to other people. I just thought none of those rules applied to me. So I would help people get way, way, way better with their money. And then I was a disaster with mine. And what I found, the downside of being a financial disaster is you can't think long term. And for a business to really succeed, you have to have the ability to steer the ship, not where it's going over this next wave, but where it's headed toward on the horizon. And I wasn't able to make long-term financial moves because I had to focus on how am I going to eat tomorrow. And so by getting things together, like a recent episode you guys did about budgets, getting your budget together and the cash flow together, and getting just an emergency fund for that rainy day when a customer decides to return 50,000 widgets and, now you have to pay them back this money. Whatever the situation is, that's going to come up. So we need to make sure that we're able to focus long-term and not on just how I eat tomorrow.
Yeah. And how did you make that switch? Obviously, the short term is very important and you have to eat tomorrow. So you got to focus there. But how did you kind of shift from being able or having to look short term to looking long term? Because I think that is a switch a lot of business owners need to make. But it's probably not overnight. It's probably a gradual shift of thinking. So how did you go about that?
Yeah, great question, because there were two lies that I was living that I feel like a lot of business owners are also living. Number one was this. It was the quality of the people I surround myself with doesn't matter. And having great advisors completely matters. And this was frustrating for me. I had, as an example, I had tax help, this guy named Bill. Bill was a guy that just did my tax return. Bill didn't really have the heart of a teacher. Bill couldn't really help me get out of my own personal hole. And when I let Bill go and I started working with a woman named Susan, who explained to me as a business owner how taxes actually worked and what I was looking at, it was amazing. It was incredible how much just that one relationship flipped, helped me. It was funny because with Bill, I wanted to delegate responsibility to Bill. And what
Mhm.
Susan made me realize was that while Susan was a phenomenal person to have in my corner and to be the expert, so I didn't have to be, I still needed to be the CEO of my own personal financial situation. I couldn't
Yep.
delegate that to anybody else. So it was like, Susan was the shepherd for my tax situation, but they were my sheep. And
Mhm.
once I realized that I'm in control, I needed to know the basics of how my company operated from a tax point of view so that I was
Right.
able to secure the right write-offs, have the right cash flow, that type of thing. The second lie was that if I just make more money, the situation will resolve itself. And I think this goes along great with that episode I referenced of yours earlier about budgets,
Right.
because I think everybody lives this lie. At the time, so my first year as a financial planner, I made at that time about $90,000. In today's dollars, because that was 1993, that would be
Mhm.
making around $200,000 today after
Mhm.
inflation. You know what,
Yep.
Jamie? It didn't, I could have made 250,000. I would have spent 280 because I was
Right.
only doing back of the envelope math. If I made 280, I would have
Right.
spent 320. 320, I would have spent 350. You can't do the
Right.
back of the envelope math.
Right.
The lie is that making more money solves your problem. Making more money is job number two. Job number one is lock down the cost controls.
Right.
And then job number two is to build a delta between the amount of money that's coming in and the amount of money that's going out. Once I have that difference, now I have free cash flow, and free
Yep.
cash flow is the name of the game.
Yeah. I think that's really important. And I think people don't realize the psychology of money a lot. If you see money in your bank, you're probably going to be like, hey, I got money in the bank. I should spend this money. Right. So, one of the things, we do personally is we siphon off money to savings, right? I don't see the money in the bank. It's somewhere else already. I don't have to think about, oh, that money was there. We could go on a vacation. We could spend it on this remodel we want to do. We could, it's not an option. We move it away. So we're not looking at it and we don't feel like we've lost anything, right? It's
That
it's
is
psychological.
It is so funny you say that, because this was one of my favorite things to do as a financial planner. Was that when somebody could not keep money in a bank account, I would help them set up this automatic, and anybody that has this trouble, just do this thing right now. It's so great. Take money out of your paycheck and have that go to a separate bank account. Or if you don't get a paycheck, if you just pay yourself from, and by the way, I would tell you, even if you're a self-employed one person company, give yourself a set paycheck. It makes your budget so much easier,
Yes.
your personal budget so much easier. But second, then have money go to a bank across town and cut up the debit card, cut up the check. So if you need to go get that money, you have to physically drive over and get it, or pay, a stupid wire transaction fee. And it's funny, what'll happen is this, if the money is debit card ready, or I can move money around from Venmo, or just jumping on my bank app, I'll go move it in a heartbeat. Because to your point, you're like, ooh, that money's sitting there. But if I got to drive across town, which if you think about it, Texarkana, where I live, is not a big town. It's 8 minutes to get all the way across it. I
Uh-huh.
still won't do it. And it's cool that
Right.
my brain then will come up with a better solution to solve that short-term problem if I've got the money across town and there's no way to get it. It's funny how lazy our brain is. If there's money available right now, my brain will go, oh, just use the cash. But if the
Right.
money is a little bit removed, then my brain comes up with some cool solution that make sure I don't
Yeah.
need to spend
And
that
that's
cash.
where, yeah, having a budget helps. Like we have an expectation of how much is coming in, and here's what we are spending on the things we must spend on, and here is the other spending, and then here's the extra money. And I feel like just getting a better grasp, again, back to the psychological aspect of it, is just seeing the budget and understanding where the money's going and where, when you have extra money, hey, how do we want to handle this now? And making a more intentional decision on how to spend that money, instead of just kind of like you said, you just kind of spend everything you have, you don't know really where it's at, then you say, oh, I don't have enough money, I got to make more money, and
Right.
then just a circle. So I
Well, and
think that's a valid
what's
point.
cool is, yeah, and a lot of people think that they can't budget, or they think they don't have that chromosome or whatever it is. You know what? There's a lot of really cool tools online that can help you with that.
Mhm.
Some people like a solution called Cube Money, which is almost like the envelope system for budgets. It's
Okay.
QUBE. I like Monarch Money. Monarch Money is it's kind of like Mint, and I set up these notifications, and the second I spend too much money, now I get this flag from Monarch that says, "Hey, you went over in your restaurant budget this month." And using modern technology in a way to help you stick with it in those times of weakness really,
Yeah, I think that's really helpful.
really
And
can
just
help.
the acknowledgement of it. Yeah, maybe you still did overspend, but now you're thinking about the fact that you overspent. So maybe next week, hey, we're not going to go to that fancy restaurant. We're going to get some takeout and eat at home instead.
Yes.
Just making different decisions based on knowledge that you're gaining from systems or processes that you put in place. So I
It's a
think that's
great
smart.
discussion for you to have later then. At Cheryl and I have a weekly budget meeting. And at
Mhm,
that budget meeting, we're like, okay, why did we go over? Like, did we
mhm.
really need that night out? So we need to adjust the budget so we can have that night out? Or to your point, maybe we shouldn't have gone to the super nice place.
Right. So, wanting to talk a little bit more about building that strong financial foundation, can you talk a little bit about the essential personal finance practices that can support these entrepreneurial ventures? Entrepreneurs don't like to, work always within guidelines and timeframes and restrictions, but obviously you need to have some of that, in order to be able to kind of explore those ideas and make them happen.
Well, the cool thing that business owners do know is that automation is your friend, right? And the more things that I can delegate and automate, if you're going to build a successful business at first, it generally is your two hands. And every successful entrepreneur knows you get good by being good at the thing. But as your business expands and your life expands, well, now I need to find good people to delegate to, and I need to find systems and processes. It's the same exact thing with your personal finance. If you want to focus on that thing that you're really good at, don't try to be more disciplined with your personal financial situation. Figure out ways to automate it. So we just talked about apps to help
Yep.
you stay on track. I love making it so that my money goes automatically where it's supposed to go. So when I'm designing the financial plan, I go, okay, I'm worried about my kids' college. I really want to have a second home out on a lake somewhere so I can get away from the business from time to time. Maybe a place with no internet, no phone, so nobody can reach me. Like that,
Perfect.
that might be heaven. But when I'm putting money away for that on into that fund, I start off with the end in mind. When do I want it? How much does it have to be? Then I divide it by the number of months, see if it fits into the budget that I can save that much money into the right place. By the way, by knowing when I want it too, it's easier to choose the investment to get there. And
Mhm,
then I don't trust myself to save that money. I build it into the budget so that as I earn the money, it automatically goes to that place.
mhm,
The less I think about my money, the more I can think about that thing that generates the money, which is this unique talent I have that built this
mhm.
wonderful business that I've created. I don't need to take my time and divide it among all kinds of different things. I've got to, when I talked earlier about surrounding yourself with better people, I went and I started getting coaching, and I have these wonderful coaches, this group called Strategic Coach that I go to once a quarter. And the people at Strategic Coach, what was amazing was I thought I had to get better at all the things that I wasn't very good at. And the first thing they taught me was all the things you're not great at, delegate those to somebody who's really good at that. And then focus much closer to 100% of your time on whatever your unique talent is. Because the reason you're great at this business is because of that thing. And if you
Right.
can do that one thing more often, life is going to be good. So with your personal financial situation, the same thing. Don't try to focus on it more. Figure out how you can automate it more, and you're going to get further ahead faster.
Yeah, that's great. On the business side of things too, I do have business owners who want to be doing like all of the things. And you're just like, isn't there something better you could be doing with your time than figuring out how to like review the AP process? Like, yes, it's important and we should be working on that. And we do want to know where all the money's going. But as a, doctor, as a lawyer, there's much better uses of your time to generate revenue or to take a break than, getting muddled into all those things, which while they have a good understanding, they're not experts. So it usually doesn't go great all the time. And then we're having to tell them they're not great at something, which is also not a pleasurable spot to be in.
Right? A little
We're
awkward.
like, you're great at your thing. This thing, we're better at this one particular area. We can help you.
But this is, and you and I both know why that's the case. It's because what got you here was tenacity. What got you here was your ability to do everything. And this was
Mm-hmm.
another thing Strategic Coach taught me, which is the same brain and two hands that got you to this point are not going to get you to the next level. They're
Yeah.
not. You have to learn to delegate and create systems and give stuff away that's not that unique talent. And what's funny is, and this was a huge aha for me, and this was a big paradox. The more you're away from your company, the better your employees are going to be. Because you're around, your employees are going to ask you the inane questions they already know the answer to.
Mm-hmm.
But when they have to come up with a solution because you're at that lake and you don't have any phone access and
Yep.
people can't get a hold of you and you've empowered them, they might mess it up once or twice. But and I know, Jamie, once they mess it up once or twice, they're going to be much better. And when
Right.
they're better, you're better. And now you get to have a life and your business is actually going to
Right.
flourish more.
Not so dependent on you for every little
Yeah.
question. Yeah, I love that. That's very true. Let's dive into a little bit more about financial planning for business owners. So, can you talk about, how important or how they go about developing a comprehensive financial plan to
Yeah.
encompass both personal and business goals? We've had that with one of our clients recently. We've definitely seen a lot of synergy. He used to have a different tax person who was not very responsive, wasn't giving us answers. We kind of took that over, and there is some, there's some good balance to see everything, right? Because while they are separate and need to remain separate, they have influence on each other, right? If you're not doing well business wise, you can't take as much money personally and, things of that nature. Can you talk to the best approach to trying to kind of manage that financial plan?
Well, I love that. And the basis of a financial plan is a great conversation, to your point. And you know what? All these different people that are your experts, their opinions need to dovetail. And
Mm-hmm.
it works against you when you have them all siloed. So my job when I was a financial planner for somebody that was a business owner was try to get us all on the same page. The property casualty person working with their insurances, me as the
Mm-hmm.
guy creating the roadmap, the CPA who's telling us the best tax advice to get there. Once the tax advisor knows what the long-term goal is, we go from tax preparation to tax planning. You know more than most. I mean, that's a powerful place to be
Yes.
when you're setting things up. So 10 years from now, people are high-fiving themselves because you and the financial planner are on the same page. So I think I think it always should start off with, and we began our discussion today on this. What do you want for yourself? And not what
Yep.
do I want for the company? What do I want for me? And that means long term, what do I want my legacy to be? And then the company then is going to drive you toward that legacy. Then your tax plan is going to drive toward that legacy. Your financial plan is going to drive toward it. And you're going to set up a series of milestones that get you there. So every year, if I look at 10 years from now, I want to be at X place, that might look like it's going to be a hell of a journey to get there. But we know
Mm-hmm.
the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So we can start off with these milestones that look pretty small today, knowing that 10 years from now, that's going to be the small little wins that are going to give us these huge wins later on. So begin with where I want to be personally. Think about how the company can support that. Then work backward. What do I have to do today? And what are the maybe every 6-month milestones I need to meet to get there? And then that's going to outline really everything else. What's my tax strategy going to be? What's my cash flow need going to be? How much money do I need to bring in to make that happen? What are the investments maybe inside my company I need to make to do that? What are the new equipment, the new capabilities I need? And then outside to diversify my income stream so that if everything goes wrong, I actually have some other places. I said income stream. It's not income stream. It's actually an asset base and a emergency funds if
Yep.
things go poorly. So setting all that up, all is based on the end in mind. I love the idea from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Begin with the end in mind. And if you start there, then it allows everything to dovetail, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. And speaking of the end in mind, can we talk about the importance of retirement planning and wealth management in general for entrepreneurs? Because I think as you were just talking now, 401k is that thing that you've invested in, because my parents made me right when I graduated college, and they said, put 10% in your 401k and I won't charge you rent. So I said, all right, I guess. So, those are the things though, that when you do for lots of years over, a 20, 40, 50-year career, you start to really accumulate, significant amounts of money. So I think those are some of the things too. As a 22-year-old, you don't really care about retirement because that's
Sure.
not where your mind is, but
Right.
it's really important to begin with the end in mind. So can you talk more about retirement planning?
Well, and
And
I
that,
think, Jamie, there's actually even a bigger part, because if you're a business owner, you've got something else. What always bothers me is when I see this with restaurants a lot, right? Because so many people get into the restaurant business, they don't know what the hell they're doing. And even people that know how to run a restaurant do really well for a while, but they understand food, but they don't understand running a business. So when
Mhm.
they close these beautiful restaurants that are sellable to somebody else,
Yes,
I think a lot of business owners don't think about exit strategy enough. How
yeah,
am I
that's true.
going to build a retirement plan that creates my business so that it's a sellable commodity? And to do that, you have to think system and process, right? Because
Mhm.
you don't want to walk into my Stacking Benjamin show and have to figure out how it works. But if I give you this map and go, hey, this show takes care of itself, Jamie, all you got to do is follow this thing, think
Mhm.
of McDonald's as an
Right. Yeah.
example. It's all systems and processes. If I can do that for my business, people then are going to want to buy that business.
Yep.
So retirement planning, number one, the business making it a sellable asset, I think is huge. Or figuring out your exit strategy. Let's say I work for you and you want to retire. Well, if I can be an employee who's trusted, but also somebody that could buy it from you,
Mhm.
that'd be fantastic for you in your retirement plan. But then outside, of course, managing your money well, outside of of that, to be able to be appropriately diversified is important. And what's funny is we use words in financial planning that drive me crazy. We use words like efficient frontier, which is like that's the way to diversify your assets historically in a way that got you to the goal with the least amount of risk. I can't stand these terms. Managing your money, I think personally, is it, and I'm going to make some people mad here, but it's easier than you think it is. And there are a lot of people in finance that want to tell you that it's really, really hard, so you keep them employed.
Mhm.
You should have good advisors. You should have somebody who's not emotional, who's helping you. I say that as a guy who's not been a financial planner for a long time. I still think you
Mhm.
should have good help, but I also don't think it's hard. If you've got somebody pretending they're a magician and you've got to hire them to magically figure out the stock market, you don't. You
Mhm.
don't. It is
Yeah.
far, far more simple than that. And maybe that's a whole different episode, Jamie, to get into like
Yeah.
what we do with that, but
Yeah.
it's not that hard.
There are complications, but you can do it. You can find people, ask your friends and family who find a trusted person who can help with that,
And
because there are different angles of the financial advisor. So you want to make sure, you're getting one that's really got your best interest in heart, and you're making the money for the most part. Not them.
Amen. A friend of mine, a guy named Roger Whitney, who has a wonderful podcast, he's called The Retirement Answer Man. I'm going to quote Roger, and I quote him all the time with this because I think it's really important. If you go to hire advisors and they lead with product versus process, If you walk into advisor's office, they go, hey, I got this perfect product that is a tax deferred thing. You can participate in the stock market without having it ever go down. Run away, because they don't know anything about you. If they lead with, what are you trying to do? What are your concerns? What are the goals you're trying to reach? What are the roadblocks along the way? How are we going to get all these things together? That's process thinking. Hire
Yep.
people that focus on process, fire people that focus on product without
Yeah.
knowing what process you're
People
trying to go
who
after.
really want to know what you're trying to accomplish before they try to accomplish something for you.
That's a true advisor.
Yes,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's great advice. Okay, good. So can we talk a little bit? I know you have your Stacking Benjamins podcast, right?
I do.
So
Not
tell us
kidding.
about that. It sounds like I'm sure you've had a lot of great interviews and experts. Like, what are some of your experience or stories you can share that, you've learned from that?
Oh my goodness, I've learned so much. We just passed episode 1600 of the
Wow.
Stacking Benjamin
Very
show.
impressive.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. It has been super fun. I was told I was in public relations as a financial planner with American Express, and I
Uh-huh.
was told way back then, a long time ago, that I should have a podcast. And I said, I don't want to be Susie Orman or Dave Ramsey yelling at people about their money. It's just not me. I mean, they're good at what they do, but I'm not that guy. I'm more of a, you can do this kind of guy. And so I'm mowing my lawn one day, and I hear this NPR show called Car Talk, and it's these two guys, Click and Clack. I don't know if you're familiar with them, Jamie,
I'm
but
not.
this
Something that
show
my
was,
son would probably really want to listen to. I'm guessing if it's about
well,
cars.
they're these two brothers. I'm not a car guy. I'm from Detroit originally, but I'm not a car guy. Maybe the one guy in Detroit, he's not a car guy. And I'm listening to these guys, and they're making it so fun. People are calling in and they're like, so is your engine going chuk, 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 or is it going rah, 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 rah? And they're making these wild noises, and I'm cracking up, and I realize I'm not learning anything about a car, but I'm having a wonderful time. And all of a
Yep.
sudden I went, oh my goodness, there's nobody doing that in personal finance that at the time that is making it approachable and fun and relaxed. And so we created this show that's live from my mom's half finished basement. Me and my co-host and my mom's neighbor, Doug, we interview some great people. We have fantastic discussions. One discussion we had recently was about AI and whether you should ask AI for advice. Here's what's disturbing.
Oh, geez. I haven't
When
asked
you
that yet.
when you go into Google or you go into Bing and you just put in like some recent tax law change, it will very confidently give you the wrong answer.
Oh, yeah. It's very confident. Right or
Because,
wrong.
yes.
That's a
And it's,
problem.
I know. And it's because of the way that AI works. I mean, all it's doing is it's taking all the stuff from the web and it is predicting what the right answer is. Well, if there's a new tax law change, it's going to see that 99 out of 100 pieces that it sees on the internet say it's one thing, and one piece says the new rule because it's brand new. So the newer the changes, the more likely it is right now AI is going to be wrong, which should scare the hell out of all of us, right?
Yes. Yes.
So AI is coming. We use it in the background. I'm sure you guys use it in the background for stuff. It's great in some areas, but when it comes to your personal financial situation, AI's got a ways to go. One of my favorite interviews recently, though, to directly answer your question, we've got an episode that is our January 1st, 2025 episode. We interviewed Alex Harmozy for this episode. Alex is a guy who went from broke to $27 million in revenue with his company in 2 years.
Wow.
And now he makes over $100 million a year, and he's 36 years old. And
Impressive. For
this
sure.
interview, Jamie, was so dense that what we're doing on the January 1st episode is we're breaking up that interview, and I'm going through it. And my co-host OG and I were hitting pause, and we're going, here's what this means to you. Here's what he's saying here. Here's what he's doing. And he talks about daisy chaining your skills to build skills on top of skills on top of skills. So if you're really good at, let's say, at math, initially that makes you a great math teacher. Doesn't do much more. Then you take a class on bookkeeping. Then maybe you become good at bookkeeping and you can work for some small business bookkeeping. Then you go to get your CPA because you love that so much. Next thing you know, you're mergers and acquisitions. You're a chief financial officer. You are now somebody that's a venture capitalist later on. And it all started with your love of math. And he said, the
Right.
more you can look at these skills that light you up and have one on top of another, and design that curriculum for yourself, the better it's going to be. The second thing he said was in regard to sales, which is great. He said that a lot of the products he sees online for people that work online, they're mediocre products, and it takes a really big sales team to sell that product. Make the product really, really good. And by the way, Jamie, this is the one that blew me away. Give away stuff for free that's phenomenally good. And this is a direct quote that cracked me up. He said, you need to have the outlook of a drug dealer. Because,
Oh,
and I
dear.
went, whoa,
I'm
wait
like,
a minute,
what?
hold on. I was like,
They're
I don't
business
know that
people
I'm
too,
here.
I guess, right?
Well, think about a drug dealer. I mean, it's a horrible analogy, but it is true. With a drug dealer, I don't have any personal experience in this, by the way, but I do know this is the way it works. The first hit is phenomenal and it's free. And he said too many people lead with stuff that's free and is crappy because they don't want to give away good stuff for free. But then nobody thinks that you're worth it. If you give away phenomenal stuff for free, people are then going to trust you. They're going to like you more. They're going to believe that the rest of your stuff is really good that's behind your paywall. And once you get behind that thing that people have to pay for, well, A, people are going to come running for the product, and B, it's also more likely than you will have a great product. And he said, better than a huge sales staff, creating stuff people really want isn't sales. You're just telling people, no, you need my thing because it's amazing. And
Yeah,
it's
I love that. Yeah, that's good.
very, very powerful.
That is very powerful. Thank you for sharing. We're getting near the end. I wanted to talk about some actionable steps so that our, listeners can go out and maybe do something today or in the next week or two. But do you have practical tips for business owners so that they can help enhance their personal financial management?
Yeah, nothing new that we haven't said already, but definitely
Okay.
worth reiterating. Automation is key. Once I figured out that when I found some money to automate it going to the right place so I didn't have to think about it was the win. A lot of time, as an example, let's use a little one. Let's say that you realize that I only have one set of eyeballs and I can't watch Disney Plus, Netflix, HBO Max, and all these other things. So why wouldn't I instead binge everything on Netflix, right? And
Hmm.
then turn off Netflix and binge everything on Apple Plus or Disney or whatever the heck I want to do.
Hmm.
Once I do that, all of a sudden I have all these subscriptions for these other places that I no longer pay. What most of us do at this point, Jamie, is we high five ourselves and we go, hey, guess what? I found this money. And you know what happens if you don't have a great budget and
Hmm.
you don't account for that money? It just disappears. You've no
Hmm.
idea. Well, if I find $50 a month in my budget, I need to take that and have $50 automatically disappear. So
Right.
cancel subscriptions, create a system now where that $50 automatically disappears. And now I capture it. And by the way, people say, well, Joe, that's a $50 solution. Yes, it is. That's only then over 12 months. What is that? $700 a year, right?
600, yeah, 600. Yep.
Yeah, $600 a year. Sorry. Math on the live podcast. That's funny.
Yeah.
So $600 a year doesn't seem like a lot, but if you take that and multiply it by 10 years,
Hmm.
I mean, now we're looking at that's a really nice vacation every decade, or maybe two vacations a decade that you weren't taking before with your family.
Hmm.
It's these two memorable experiences that I get that I didn't have before. And imagine if you just had two more. So these little inconsequential decisions, if you can automate those, I think that's number one. Number two, spend a lot of time hiring great people in your corner. Number three, set up these automatic tripwires so that when you violate your budget, you're reminded immediately that, hey, I got to get my budget together. Number four is create these milestones between you and your goal so that over short periods of time, you know how to take corrective action versus having to take big actions later on. If I can make a series of really small moves, I won't have to make any of those big, huge moves that are uncomfortable. And the last thing is surround yourself with really smart people while still remembering that you're in control. You are the CEO of your situation. Their job is to make you better. Mary Barra is a Detroit guy. She's the CEO of General Motors. Mary Barra doesn't walk in once every 6 months with her advisors or VPs and go, how's this car thing going? Is the car thing good? Are we doing good? She doesn't. She knows enough to know, but her VPs know more about their area of expertise than she does. Her job's to put it all together and make sure that it works for her. So have all these people and make them dovetail to make sure that you're getting those long-term goals.
Love it. Those were great action items. I hope our listeners appreciate those and go put some of those into action today. Any last, where can they find you? Where can we find Stacking Benjamin's podcast? Any more information we can get on you? Can you direct us there?
Yeah. Thank you so much. This was so fun. As you can tell, I get a little fired up about this.
Yeah, it is. I love talking financial stuff too. Nerding out, as they say.
Absolutely. You'll find the Stacking Benjamin show. We call it the greatest money show on earth because it is a circus. There's a lot of comedy. Our show, we have a professional comedian who's written for Comedy Central, helps write our shows. Like, it is a lot of comedy every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Our big product that we have now that's great for business owners, if you're struggling to get your people to pay attention to your human resources package, we have a guide to your human resources package. We sell it on retail to individuals, but for business owners, we have special pricing. We can help you get it through your employee's head that your benefits can help them get a lot closer toward financial independence than they think that they could. So just write me, joe@stackingbenjamins.com. If you want to look at the product, it's stackingbenjamins.com/benefits, and take a look at it. And if you want us to help you with your benefit, to be clear, we're not going to provide benefits. Our job is to help you teach your people how to use their benefits better, which makes them focus on work and not on how am I going to make next month's car payment.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Joe. We appreciate that. Thank you to our listeners, and keep that momentum going, and we will see you next time.